Scrape across the face.
Well, Clark's saying you already hit me in the eye.
Marina Mabrey believed she could make a cheap shot at the WNBA and get away with it without facing any repercussions.
It is not that surprising that there are advancements and there are updates in the Connecticut Sun-Indiana Fever game last.
Do you think Mabrey's punishment was sufficient, or should she have been suspended? Oh boy, where do we even begin with this Marina Mabrey situation? The league recently hit her with an upgraded fine that has her frantically trying to contain the damage. Now, her attempt to defend her actions has backfired spectacularly, and the internet isn't buying what she's selling. The woman truly believed she could slap Caitlin Clark in front of a national audience and just give her a slap on the wrist. However, unexpected behavior has repercussions, and Mabrey is now learning the hard way that there is a cost associated with assaulting the largest female basketball player. Things got heated in the third quarter of Tuesday night's Fever vs. Sun game, so let's go down exactly what happened since the details count. While attempting a steal, Sheldon poked Clark in the eye. It appeared to be an accident, and Clark, understandably upset about being struck in the face, gave Sheldon a slight shove to push her away. However, Marina Mabrey decided to play hero and charged in from behind like an enforcer, completely leveling Clark and sending her crashing to the ground. This was not even close to a basketball play. It was outright assault disguised as defending a teammate.
Caitlin does need to get going on offense, though. And she is getting hacked. Like, she is getting hacked. Oh my God! Why? What? What is going on? Why would she body slam her like that? The call should have been made earlier. There should have been like 14 fouls before she got jabbed in the eyeball. Oh! Oh, bro! What the hell? Oh my God! Bro! To the commentator, thank you. Blaming it on the officials, it's their responsibility. They did not defuse the situation earlier. And now you have this.
The court's referees utterly blew the first call. They awarded Mabrey a technical foul, the same penalty they gave Clark for protecting herself after being poked in the eye. For a moment, consider that both the victim and the attacker received the same punishment. This league's officiating is quite humiliating, but this is where things start to get interesting. Although the WNBA doesn't reveal the exact amount of the fine, sources claim that a flagrant 2 carries a $400 fine. The WNBA likely realized they were about to face a public relations nightmare, so they decided to review the play after the game, and guess what? They upgraded Mabrey's technical to a flagrant 2. The league is essentially stating that spotting their best star is less valuable than a speeding ticket by charging $400 for assault when you may receive a fine greater than that for a parking violation in other locations.
Believe me, the statistics all show that most of the eyes do go towards one team. So I think the officiating towards this one team definitely is going to have to be very closely monitored and made sure that it is called as fairly as possible. Because I think that last night, a lot happened. There were 6 technical fouls issued. There were 3 ejections.
The fact that there isn't a suspension is what really reveals everything about how this league functions. If someone had shoved LeBron James to the ground like that in the NBA, they would have been suspended sooner than you could blink. But in the WNBA, it seems like you can attack the team's face and still be allowed to play in the next game. Mabrey's response to all of this was hilarious. She posted an 8-word message that basically said, "Damned if you do, damned if you don't." Her exact quote was that she was defending her teammate and would be villainized in any case, but here's the thing. Marina, you weren't villainized for defending your teammate. You were villainized for shoving someone from behind when they weren't looking. There's a difference between assault and having someone's back, but apparently she doesn't see that distinction. On national television, she practically pushed the largest female basketball star to the ground. Now, she's pretending as though people are cruel to her for calling her out. But hold on, things will get better. Her family's response to the entire situation is completely out of control. Moments after the incident, her sister Dra posted a TikTok essentially celebrating the shove. Their mother seemed to be proud of Marina for standing up for her teammate. This is the kind of mentality that has been poisoning the WNBA since Clark entered the league. Rather than celebrating the fact that Clark has brought women's basketball unprecedented attention and revenue, we have players and their families celebrating when Marina is attacked. Let's also talk about Marina Mabrey's history because this isn't an isolated incident. She has a reputation as one of the dirtiest players in the league. There are literally compilation videos of her starting arguments with other players. When someone who is known for being aggressive calls you their evil twin, you've probably crossed a line or two. DJ Carrington calls Mabrey her evil twin, which should tell you everything you need to know. The Women Hooping Instagram page, which has 175,000 followers, is primarily dedicated to showcasing WNBA fights and drama. And guess who appears in roughly half of their clips? Mabrey Marina and Cunningham Sophie, although some may contend that every team needs an enforcer who is willing to mix things up and defend their teammates. There is a difference between being physical within the parameters of the game and what Mabrey did to Clark. These aren't players who lose their cool occasionally. Rather, they are players who have made being agitators their entire brand. The timing of the WNBA's historic expansion, largely due to Caitlin Clark, is what makes the whole situation even more absurd. In many markets, television ratings have increased 400% and attendance is surging. The sad thing is that, despite the fact that merchandise sales are skyrocketing, corporate sponsors are throwing money at the league, and players like Mabrey are actively trying to sabotage it all out of jealousy. Rather than riding the wave and enjoying the increased attention, they're actively trying to drive away fans. Mabrey is a talented basketball player when she's focused on her game. She can shoot and create plays, but instead of letting her game do the talking, she's made herself famous for all the wrong reasons, and now she's dealing with the fallout. The fine may only be $400, but the harm to her reputation is far greater than that. She has become a meme. Her nasty plays are being compiled into videos by others. It's likely that her teammates are considering whether they want to be linked to her foolishness. Players on the Connecticut Sun's roster seem more interested in initiating fights than winning games, which should disgrace the team as they work to create a winning culture. What do you think prospective free agents will perceive from that? What do you think sponsors would think of that? But this is what truly bothers me. Mabrey's total absence of regret. She hasn't expressed regret or acknowledged that perhaps pushing someone from behind was wrong. Instead, she is doubling down and playing the victim, which reveals everything about her personality. When faced with valid criticism for her actions, she has chosen to deflect and place the blame on others rather than reflect and grow from the experience. Here, the WNBA had a chance to make a strong statement regarding league standards and player safety. They could have given Mabrey a slap on the wrist and effectively told every other player in the league that attacking Caitlin Clark has no place in professional basketball. That's a dangerous precedent to set, and the really crazy part is that Mabrey's actions probably helped Caitlin Clark more than they hurt her. Every time something like this occurs, it reminds casual fans why they started watching women's basketball in the first place. Moreover, they could have given Mabrey a significant fine that would have caused financial harm. On one side, Clark is focused on honing her game and attracting new fans to basketball, while on the other side are players like Mabrey who are more interested in social media drama and starting fights. Clark handles these situations with class and maturity that makes her attackers appear petty in comparison. The true star has already been determined by the market. When Clark is playing, viewership declines by more than 50%, and his jersey sales consistently outpace those of everyone else. The players like Mabrey have chosen the villain route instead of accepting reality and attempting to improve their own brands. While that may garner them short-term attention, it won't last in the long run. What's most frustrating is that the entire incident overshadowed what should have been a celebration of good basketball. The Fever won 88-71, and Clark scored 20 points and disheveled 6 assists. It was a strong performance that demonstrated how much the team has improved, but instead of talking about basketball, we're talking about cheap shots and dirty play, which isn't good for anyone, not the players, teams, the league, and most definitely not the fans who merely want to watch competitive basketball. Marina. As a professional athlete, teams want players who can remain composed under pressure, not players who lose their cool and start fights. Mabrey chose violence over basketball, and now she's dealing with the consequences. The fine may be small, But the harm to her reputation is severe because she's been branded as someone who can't control her emotions and turns to dirty play when things don't go her way. The unfortunate thing is that Mabrey had the chance to handle this better. Instead of defending her actions and playing victim, she chose to play victim. This choice will follow her for the rest of her career, and let's be honest about what this was really about. Jealousy, not defending Jacia Sheldon. Sponsors prefer to associate with positive role models rather than athletes who have a history of attacking other athletes. Rather than players supporting one another and celebrating the success of women's basketball, jealousy is destroying the sport from within. Players are tearing each other down out of pettiness and resentment, and the fans can see it. Jealousy that Caitlin Clark receives more attention, that Clark has more endorsement deals, and that Clark is the league's face while Mabrey continues to play a supporting role. People are praising Clark and criticizing Mabrey's actions on social media. Nobody is fooled by the contrived narrative that this was about protecting a teammate. Marina Mabrey was fined for assaulting Caitlin Clark, and she is now realizing that her actions have repercussions. Even though the $400 fine might not seem like much, the harm to her reputation is far greater because she has made herself into a villain in a sport that sorely needs more heroes. What's worse is that she doesn't even seem to understand why people are upset. The extent of her delusion and lack of self-awareness is almost astounding. The Court of Public Opinion has already pronounced its decision about Marina Mabrey's acts, and it will be far more difficult to dispute that decision than any league penalties. Nevertheless, the WNBA lost a chance to send a clear message about player safety and league standards. Mabrey believed she could play victim and cheap-shot Clark, but the internet sees right through her act and says the $400 punishment is little in comparison to the harm to her reputation. The WNBA needs to do a better job of shielding its stars from players who are jealous of them. Please share your opinions about Mabrey's lackluster answer below, and subscribe for more WNBA drama.